I'm Ellen from VAE, and this is our third episode in making our Japanese Oni. Remember, you can get the Japanese Oni pattern at via-e.com. Now we're making this Oni for our community star, Brendan Kimball, because of all the support that he has done in sharing all about VAE to his friends. Just as a reminder, this is what our Oni is going to look like when we're finished. Today, we're going to be working on creating the body. We're not going to do the arms or the feet. That's in episode 4. Now this time when I shot the video, I am shooting it from the perspective of my hands, hoping that that maybe is a little bit easier to follow along. I'm excited to get started. I hope you are too. Let's go. Okay, let's start by looking at some of the pattern pieces that we're going to be using. This is the belly. Okay, and so I've sewn ahead just to make it quick and easy for us to review on our video. Notice that the only thing you're going to do are sew the darts all the way around and make sure you mark this dot on your fabric. So I'll show you how it turns out. If I turn it inside out, you can see that the darts are sewn all the way around. And we have sewn our little belly button, which I embroidered by hand because my sewing machine can't do that tight circle. But then notice that I've also marked where I'm going to match this to my front body. Now this was the easy part. Okay, so let's go to the next. Actually, all of this is super easy. Now what I've done is I have put the pattern pieces on top so you can see how they are put together. So we have our top chest piece and then we have the lower front leg. So if I take off the pattern, you will see how it went together. Okay, so the bottom piece here, all you did was sew right across here, okay? Right here. Okay, that's the first step. And that opens it up, and you can see it looks just like a pair of pants. Then the next step was to sew the top and the bottom together. Okay? So our front looks like this. It's ready for the belly. So let's go ahead and put the belly in. Now remember, we're going to pin right sides together. First thing I'm going to do is look for my mark, and I'm going to place right sides together and pin. Notice how I put the belly, actually right sides together. We want to make sure that happens. Notice how I put the belly inside of that hole, if you want to call it a hole, that we have for that area. And I'm going to pin. First thing I'm going to do is pin right there where my mark is to match the crotch or the sewn area here in the front. And then I'm going to proceed to pin all the way around. Now you want to make sure that you use a lot of pins because the minky fabric will slip as you sew. And so using a lot of pins makes it so that it's very easy to sew around this circle without having to worry that it has moved, and you're going to end up with, basically your belly is going to be lopsided if you don't have it sewn all the way around properly with the edges matching. So as you see me pin this around, you can see I'm just matching the edges and adding a pin. Now dependent upon how big of a seam you used when you sewed the top chest to the bottom legs. If you've used a 1/4 inch, which is what the seam allowance is supposed to be, you'll be fine. But if it was a little bit larger, you may find that the hole that was created there for the belly to fit into is a little bit smaller than we anticipated. But that's okay, because the Minky fabric has a small amount of stretch. You can do what we call easing the fabric in. And well, I guess it's kind of the idea of easing without having to do any stitching. Because it stretches, you're just gonna kind of stretch it and pull it into place so that it fits the hole. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue to pin this all the way around. Now what we're going to do is we are going to place it on our sewing machine. Normally I sew at a stitch width of 3. If I'm very confident, I'll sew at a stitch width of 2.5. Now because this can be a little bit tricky, I'm going to sew at a stitch width of 3 just in case I have to rip out and reposition. But because I have so many pins in place, the odds are that I'm not going to have a problem at all. Okay, so as I'm going around, I'm trying to make sure that the fabric is laid down well and that we don't have any of the rest of the fabric coming up underneath our foot so that we end up sewing things we don't want to sew. You'll also notice that I go pretty slow. And you know, I've been sewing since I was 7 years old, and even with that experience, there are some times that I move very slowly, and this is one of them. Just because we're sewing in a tight space, the material tends to want to move around, and I don't want to have to rip anything out. So I am just kind of making doubly sure that everything looks good. And I like to remove my pins as I go around. And when I snip off, I leave some extra, you know, because it's not like an outfit. All the extra string will be tucked inside, and this just kind of helps so that it doesn't unravel. Okay, let's see how we did. Oh, we still got a pin. Okay, here we go. Now when we stuff, it's going to stretch and you won't see much of these darts. But so we have the front side now completed. You can see how simple and quick that was. Now let's add the back side, okay? So the back side is a simple piece. We're just gonna sew this area from here on down, okay? And so I'm gonna take this part off, and you can see that I've already done it. That's the back. That's all the sewing you had to do for the back. Now we're just going to attach the front and the back. We're just gonna sew the sides. Again, we're at a 1/4 inch. I'm going to tack the front just because it's a stress point, and then sew. What I call straight seam sewing, which is simple, 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 simple. I'm going to hit reverse and just make sure I got a strong edge here. My string off. Let's remove our pins. This makes it easier to work on the other side. And now we'll work again. Hit reverse. Again, straight stitch. Trim off that string. Okay. So you can see that we have our body made. Now we are not going to sew the crotch area yet. This gets sewn when we add the feet. Okay, so that's not on this video. And also we are not going to sew the shoulders until after we add the arms. Okay, and that's going to be on our next video. So you can see that this has been very simple. See, that wasn't difficult at all. It's no more difficult than making an outfit for a doll friend. So let's take a look at what we did. We have the body, the front and the back, and in our next episode we will add the arms and the feet. In episode 2, we had completed the face, and as you can see, Brendan selected the puffball nose, so you can see he's starting to get his character. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm excited to complete this Oni with you. I'll see you next time. Bye.